The lifestyle and quality of ministry of an alcoholic priest or religious can be a boon to his diocese or congregation. Once again, I do not believe that it is enough for us to simply be dry, but progressing in a sober life. Hence, the strong recommendation for ongoing and active participation in the fellowship of AA. A terrifying revelation for many newly sober alcoholics is the insistence of AA on the necessity of a spiritual experience or spiritual awakening as an absolute condition for ongoing recovery. I remember the first time I read that in the big book when I was in my first weeks at guest house, I was absolutely terrified. I said, I don't do spiritual experiences. For not a few, the idea of depending on God for anything is a dubious, if not entirely offensive proposition. The claim of the spiritual basis of recovery was so easily misunderstood that following the publication of the first edition of the so-called Big Book about AA, the authors felt the need to include a special appendix on the nature of a spiritual experience. I read that appendix and it calmed me down. Newly sober priests and religious might not share the same antipathy towards the mention of a higher power that other alcoholics do. But there's a reasonable chance that many will arrive with their own objections, either because they are awash in guilt and shame, or because God has been little more than a distant and unfriendly concept. Such dispositions will pass as the individual comes to believe that, far from being his personal triumph, sobriety is actually a gift. He will sense that the God he read about or prayed to is actually doing for him what he cannot do for himself. In the deliverance from the agonizing chaos of active alcoholism, the Spirit offers the individual an experience of God. It does. It is an indescribable and inexplicable feeling of inner security, which one can only experience, but once it is experienced, one can never forget it. The sober priest or religious knows that his Redeemer lives.